Hey, all, welcome back to the Awesome Life podcast. I'm Karen Stultz, your host. I'm the creator of the Awesome Life Success System to help online transformational coaches be all that they can be, eliminate the self-doubt, and start making a six-figure income if that is the desire that they have. And also the creator of the heart energy techniques to help release that self-doubt and anxiety that often comes in our lives. But the Awesome Life podcast is to inspire women to see what is available, to really live life, to live an awesome life. And my guest today has become a very dear friend of mine. And as always, as all my guests, I don't have anything but awesome guests coming. And Marie Knapp is a woman of curiosity. She's a spiritual inquisitive, a wife of 54 years and a mother of 52 years. She's a retired nurse educator and a college administrator, a Reiki Master, a doctor of education, author of The Path to More Inspiring Future, and we'll be talking about that. She's also a mentor to almost everybody she meets, including myself. She's marvelous. Her life experience as a wife and mother, coupled with her professional roles, has given her insight into working with many of life's challenges. She sees life purpose as inspiring others who inspire others. It's kind of the ripple effect, isn't it? She learns incessantly and she shares what she learns so many others can gain from her opportunities. So welcome, Marie. Thank you so much for joining me on the Awesome Life podcast today.
Well, thank you for having me, Karen. It's wonderful to be here.
So, Marie, we have connected through inspiration, an inspirational platform with our mentor, which you have actually helped him become such an inspirational mentor to many. Have you always been an inspirational person? And have you ever felt, or is that something that you learned? Tell me more. Where'd you all start? Where did all this start, Marie?
Well, it's hard to say where it all started, because I can go back to my youth, and I had big questions always, the big mysteries of life, like, why am I me? So I became aware of that sense of, you're you and I'm me. Yeah, I understand this idea that we're all one, but how come my consciousness is through me? So those questions went through my whole life. I'm certainly teaching, going into nursing, opened my eyes to a lot of things about how other people live. Teaching nursing gave me the opportunity to really work with students, and I guess that's where my role as an inspirer, I didn't know it at the time, Karen, but helped because I got to keep building on that. I really love to see the student success, and I always felt really good when I saw that students who had graduated had actually moved beyond where I was at in terms of my nursing capabilities, and that made me feel really good, to see that happening. So
that lifts your heart and makes you want to do more, and you're sending out that ripple effect that I mentioned.
Yes. It seems, I think I learned somewhere along the line that I didn't have to change everybody. I just need to help a few, and then they would go on to help a few more. And I believe that's really what we need to do even today,
Yeah.
So then when I went to graduate school, lo and behold, as I worked on what would be my doctoral dissertation, what would I do research on, it became making a workshop that helps people make life more meaningful, helping them make change related to a more meaningful life. So that triggered a whole lot more. So after that, then I was still teaching nursing, and then I moved into administration at the college. But I also liked doing things on the side, workshops with small groups, and led some retreats. And somewhere in there also, I was introduced to Lance Secretan and started
Our mutual mentor friend.
Yes. So did a number of his retreats also, and grew again more and more with the concept of inspiration and the value of inspiring other people.
And you
So,
are also a poet for one of his publications.
well,
As
that's right, his Spirit at Work cards. So I wrote the poetry, and that, yeah, that inspired me more. I learned more about what that all means. You know, it's an interesting thing because at the same time as I'm inspiring, I'm learning within what inspiring is, and that keeps developing.
isn't that actually that is part of the awareness and allowing in the Awesome Life Success System, is
Mhm.
always being open to learning. Even though you're the expert in the writing, it is the inspiration that is coming through to you and the learning that you're getting that help you expand and grow and make a real difference in the world.
Yeah, yeah. I enjoy. I think that there are a lot of also life situations that have contributed to my learning more about
Mm,
inspiring other people. And you know, me, my writing poetry began with my daughter. I have a daughter who has a mental illness
mm,
that is a real challenge for her, and it's schizophrenia. But she
mm.
asked me if I wanted to write a book of poetry with her, and I said sure, because hey, you know, this was an opportunity to do something together. And she invited me, and we could really do something. So we did that. And it was because of that, Lance saw that and invited me to write the poetry for him. So you never know where these things are going to happen. So she inspired me in that situation. And that was wonderful.
And with all of that inspiration, you've written your own book.
Yes, yes.
And I
Yes, my own book, which is this one, The Path to a More Inspiring Future. And I really enjoyed the process of putting this together. Um, it was an opportunity for me. I mean, back in the day when I was in graduate school, what I realized was where I learned most was when I had to put a paper together, because then I'm taking all of what I'd learned and assimilating it, you know, and making it bigger than the sum of its parts.
yeah,
And
making it more
I
more
loved that.
focused. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. And so the same thing happened in the process of writing this book, was all these things I knew I got to bring them all together. You know, it's a great experience that way. I recommend it.
I highly recommend it myself. It is wonderful. It is wonderful. So are you using this book in anything now? Are you expanding, and how are you sharing this book for inspiration for the multitudes?
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, I've developed a program, a series of 8 sessions that I'll be offering starting in October, and going using the book and going beyond it, because being me, it doesn't stop. You know, I now I've got more things than what's just in the book, you know, to add. So it'll be fun to be able to add that in with people who would like to join. I'm going to do it on Zoom. I would like to be able to draw people from more at a distance rather than just local. The local people are great, and I've loved that. But I'm ready to just expand beyond that. And also, should we have to be more cautious again, I don't have to cancel classes because we can't get together, you know, because
Oh,
we'll be
isn't it? Yeah, the technology can be such a blessing and
yeah,
such an aggravation upon occasion. And part of what you and I recognize is that we just have to laugh and say, it is it. What is this teaching us? And sometimes, I don't know about for you, Marie, but for me, I have to look at it and say, all right, what is this teaching me? And what can I learn from it without going down the tubes? And that's what your inspiration can provide.
yes, 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 because, and I mean, that's what prompted me writing the book in the first place, was besides having things that I wanted to share, and I've been wanting to write a book for a while, but I realized that so many people were really feeling, you know, down, really feeling like they weren't sure that really there was a hopeful future ahead of them, and it was I felt badly about that, you know, because we just have to change our mindset is what we have to do. And we have to look at all of the beautiful things that we have around us. So I started to put the book together to try to be an uplifting experience. And I understand from the feedback that I've had that it really has been, that people have really enjoyed the process of reading the book because it gave them something more to, to lift themselves up. Yeah, so I felt that it was important that I knew that I was able to contribute in that way, so it was important that I do it.
Mm.
And I see that there are other things happening now because we're a little further along in the process. And I think there's also a continuing need for that, and that's why I want to run the course. But
I love that.
what's interesting, Karen, is that I've had some feedback from people who use the book in a whole different way than I had thought. And I
Oh,
like that. I like that. Like, first of all, then there's the people who read it and said, oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. It was so uplifting. I loved it, blah, blah, which is great. I loved hearing that. One person told me that he uses the book as a morning uplifter. So when he gets up in the morning, he'll read a couple of pages from the book to start his day. And that
ah,
really, and I thought, oh, wow, thank you so much for telling me that.
that's wonderful. That
And
is
then,
cool.
yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. So it's nice to know. And the other experience is, sadly, my cousin's wife just passed away recently. But prior to that, I was in contact with her through Messenger actually, and just communicating and how she was doing and trying to keep her um, feeling okay because every day was getting harder and harder for
Mm.
her. And she knew I was writing a book, and she asked, how much does it cost? Would you send me a copy? And I said, I'll send you one. You don't have to pay for it. So I sent her a copy. She was so excited when she got it, and she started reading it. And she said, this is the way the world should be. I want 5 copies so I can leave it for all of my kids.
Oh,
So she did, and she and her daughter were reading the book together, even in the last week of her life, because she found it inspiring for her. So I am I'm grateful, that I was able to provide that. I feel that perhaps I was guided in some way that I don't know, to put it together.
how absolutely wonderful when you know that you have made a difference in somebody's life through your words, your actions, your beliefs, your positive. But when you're able to give someone hope, how does it get better than that? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out.
Well, yeah, it's a good feeling, and I'd like to share that with more people, not sharing the experience that those people shared with me, but just letting people know that there's all kinds of ways you can use the book. And it
Yeah.
seems like, I'd be interested in knowing, does it work if you've got teens who are um, feeling they aren't sure where the future is, to read it with them and have family discussions. There's lots of possibilities of how the book can be used.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless, aren't they? And I would you be able to share a little bit of your inspiration from your book, or uh, do you
How,
offer
how it unfolds,
tools?
you mean, in the book, the journey in the book?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, like I wanted, I know that when you want to create a change in the world, you have to begin within yourself.
Mm.
So the first thing, was to share noticing things that are like the beauty around us, and just I use that as the first one because sometimes things we hadn't even thought of as beautiful are actually very beautiful. I find nature is incredible. I talked about nature and how even walking in nature and walking in the trees. Trees are amazing. Then once that's just a starting point, and gradually, working on building up ourselves, then we can start to share it with other people. And so then I wrote some things on communicating and family and other experiences. I had some interesting stories I tell in the book of, because in my view of, can I read a little bit from my introduction?
I would love it. I would love it. I know our listeners would love it as well, because I think what we need in this world today, Marie, is as much inspiration and hope, because I equate the two, and hope. So we
Yes.
need that to lift our vibration, to make the difference. Otherwise, it's so easy to go down the rabbit hole into the darkness, and especially after this pandemic. And
Yeah.
there may be more. So being able to have the tools to keep ourselves alive with expectation, with hope, is so huge. So yeah, go ahead. I'd love it.
Yeah, because the thing that I felt was, I still feel, is a visualization. Being able to visualize what you would love to see the future be is really important, to just get a picture of it in your mind so you know what you're wanting to have happen, what you would like to help happen, you know. So I'm working on that. So I said, deep within my heart, I see a world where generations of different cultures, races, languages, and symbols all accept and offer kindness to each other. I see a world where there's collaboration among nations to help each other through natural disasters, pandemics, and climate crises. I see a world where everyone is cared for without barriers created by race, national boundaries, ability, or level of financial capabilities. I see a world where employment will take on a different way of being and leaders will know how to help everyone be successful. I see a world where families and neighborhoods care for themselves, each other, the environment, and the world. It saddens me to see the state of the world as frequently depicted in the media. It's not helping the situation to have our brains continually bombarded with chaos, violence, injustice, and prejudice. I have a different vision for the world of the future. And it goes on, but that gives you an idea of my starting point.
I totally agree. Totally agree. It's important to know what's going on in the world, but
Yeah.
not to be bombarded by it. We need to be inspired in as many ways as possible. As a matter of fact, I've seen my life change a lot. Within, I guess it was about 3 years ago for our anniversary, my husband got us uh, one of those musical cards where you open it
Okay.
up and
Yes.
there's a song inside. And the
Yes.
song was Louis Armstrong's It's a Wonderful World.
Yes.
And he said, come on, Karen, stand up and let's dance. Now, my husband does not dance. He will do everything in his power not to dance. So to have him actually say, let's dance.
Yeah.
And you know, Marie, every morning and every night, we dance to the stanza, not the whole song, but just to the stanza of red roses, sunshine, the trees,
Yeah.
the dark night, the beautiful sun. It's a wonderful world. And just doing that, it takes almost 30 seconds of dancing every morning and every night.
That's
And it just
wonderful.
starts our day off right. And it
Yeah.
ends our day, no matter what the day has brought. It could be a fantastic, awesome day. It could be a lot less than awesome day. Things, technology, didn't go too well. But that having that reminder,
Yes.
as you are providing with your book, the reminder that we need to look at the moment, to be in the moment and be grateful for the moment that we're standing erect.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. That's, you know, some people do a gratitude list of 3 things they're grateful for every morning and then every night. And that's great too, to help lift out. But I love that one that you just described. That's lovely.
And I like the gratitude. And I always did the gratitude journals in my head.
Sure.
I wouldn't write it out because
Oh,
I had an issue with writing. I had a mental block about writing, and I didn't dare do that. And there were a lot of things going on, which is what I've come through to create the Awesome Life Success System, to
Sure.
break through those barriers. And
Yeah.
what I found is that when you actually write it down with your hand and a pen, preferably a pen, not a pencil, you are making a declaration. I am grateful for.
Yeah.
And I like to have 5 things, and I also like to have it so you do that at least once a day, and never repeat the things that you're grateful for
Well,
for
that
30
feels
days. For 30 days.
30 days. Yeah. Huh. And never
So
repeat. So you've got to look for something new each time. That's
yeah,
that's a great addition to the gratitude journal. Yeah.
and magic starts happening, doesn't it, when you start doing that
Yes.
gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it helps us learn how to shift our energy, how to move it from being in a slump to being, you feel the difference. You can, when you work with energy, you know how it feels to to just let it flow, and it
Yeah.
does. Once it's flowing, and it just feels really good. It's great to notice it. I think that really helps too. Once you've learned how to notice it, which I'm sure you do a
Well,
lot. People
that's the key. That is the key. Absolutely. If you are not aware of it, if you're
Mhm.
not allowing it, it's not going to be helpful. It might be in the moment because it will work. It will work, whether you believe in it or not. It will work. The energy work that you do and that I do does absolutely work, but you do need to be aware. And we all become aware in different ways.
Yes.
So being able to have your inspirational book and your class, I'm so excited about your class in October 2022. We are so excited to listen to that and be part of, you said it's a 6-week program?
It'll be 8.
8
Yeah.
weeks.
8 weeks. Yep. So we'll get together for 2 hours on Zoom, and it'll be. I mean, we'll have some chat time, and we'll have some time for general discussion. I'm certainly not going to be presenting all the time. I'll give a little bit of sharing, and then we'll build on that. I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be fun.
Oh, I know it will be, because you're a fun person anyway, and having that interaction is awesome.
And I would love to have people who have been struggling through the pandemic, like frontline health workers. I mean, obviously I've taught nurses, so it would be really neat to have some nurses to be part of it. And the joy of having it on Zoom means that if you happen to have to work at that time, it can be saved so that they can just download it and listen to it when they've got time to.
Wonderful. So if they purchase your program, they
Yes.
will be able to get the replays in their entirety.
Yeah. Yes. Because I mean, a lot of people. I'm doing it during the day, but a lot of people might have other commitments during the day. Some people don't. It varies.
Yep.
So
And
yeah,
people around the world. So the people in Australia may be sleeping, and
that's true.
so
That's
and or people like me who, if I lived somewhere else, I have a boundary in my work where at 6 p.m. my time, my
yes.
day is done.
Yeah.
My day is done. If I respond to you after 6 p.m., it's only because I totally love and respect you. Otherwise, it isn't happening.
Oh, I think that's wise, and I think that that's something people who are using technology a lot really have to do for themselves, is set their boundaries.
Mm, mm. So,
Yes.
so how can people register for your class, find your book, find you? How can people do that?
Well, I think probably one of the things they could do is contact me by email. that would be helpful. I do have two websites that I use. The one where the book, a person can purchase the book online, and it's moreinspiringfuture.com.
Moreinspiringfuture.com.
Yes, all one word, all lowercase. And so that's my website, and on there you can use PayPal or not. If you prefer to send me an e-transfer, that's possible too. And but then you'd have to do that separately. And so the website that you can use is my business name is Dallacor, Dallacor. So the email you can use is dallacor@rogers.com. And Dallacor is because my birth name was Della Vicenza. I have an Italian heritage, and Dalla means from the, and cor is heart. So it's the meaning of Dallacor to me is from the heart.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So Dallacor, yeah.
At rogers.net.
.com.
.com. Okay. And I'll have that in the show notes below here, so you can reach out to her.
Yes.
And yeah, and how can they
And then
register for your
I have another website that's marieknapp.ca.
Oh, okay.
So
And will you have the registration right there at marieknapp.ca?
I want to just know who's registering first.
Oh, okay.
So I like to have a little email conversation or messenger, whatever works best, first. So that's why I ask people if they would send me an email. And yeah, it just helps me know who my students will be, and not have, then I can kind of sort of customize and know where people are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is great. I love it. And then you can tell them more details and have them ask you anything that they need to do, like
absolutely, yes,
what they can expect and how much it might be and things like that.
Yes, and there's more information on the website about that.
At marieknapp.ca.
Yes, because I wrote it all out in a blog. So yes, it's there.
Super.
Yes. So I wanted to do my best to keep people as informed as possible, given that being Zoom, things are different. And yeah, I've led numerous in-person workshops and retreats for people. And yes, it's been fun. And so I'm using a lot of the same way of offering it, except now through technology. So that's why I've always wanted to know who was coming to my workshops, or retreats, and a little bit about them ahead. And I want the same here for the class. It helps everybody, and it makes it better for the participants too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because as our listeners know, in my world, fun is number one, and you have to enjoy the people that you're working with, and be able to know that they can enjoy you as well. It's a two-way street. So, yes. Because if you don't connect with your instructor or with the group that you're in, there's a resistance that pops up that makes it kind of a waste. So you want to make sure that it's right for you, and that comes from an email. So
yes, terrific. And you know what, the participant needs to know that it's a right fit for them too. Absolutely. I that is so tremendous that you're giving your participants that opportunity to ask those questions. So I'm so excited. Yeah, me too. Yeah. I think it's a really neat way of doing things. And so I ask the people, if they don't have the book already, to purchase the book, so they can do that online and as part of the program, because I'll be referring to it and asking them to read sections. Yeah. Very great. So I will have those links to purchase the book, as well as to connect with Marie.
this beautiful lady, and be sure to come on over to my YouTube channel for our conversations so you can actually see this beautiful lady and see the book. If you want to hold up the book again.
Yes, there it is.
There we go. And isn't that a great picture of her overlooking that wonderful mountainside? I love it. I love it. And all right, guys, that means that you have to come over to Conversations. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe. So thank you, Marie, for joining us today on the Awesome Life Success or Awesome Life podcast. You are an inspiration, and that's what this podcast is all about.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here, and thank you to your listeners too.
Yeah. Are there any last tidbits of inspiration that you might give our listeners before we say goodbye?
Oh, just notice the beauty around you that's there, and let that be your first inspiration, and breathe it all in and feel good about yourself.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. And like I said, come on over to Conversations. Be sure to like and subscribe the podcast. And until next time, have an awesome life.